It's Tuesday night. We got Jon Shearer, Jake Malik, Just Dave. We don't even try and butcher his name anymore. We just call him Just Dave, as he says.
Rocher.
That's right.
We got Sideline Sports with Dave here Tuesday night. We got some crazy things that happened over the last week.
We have to
Dave's
talk about them.
prediction went to hell. You thought you were going to half of it done, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened.
I don't gamble.
Turn of an ankle, the first play of the basketball game, and that was it.
No, it was more than that.
It was more than that is not wrong.
You don't even know how much. I was sitting there in front of the screen, I'm going like this. I'm like, man, I just can't wait to, the first team ever to boil a three-game. I'll tell you what, man. The Heat, I think, is going to win the whole thing.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Why would so good.
You're feeding
fuel us.
You are feeding into the monster.
But
they look so good, Jake.
Hey, tell me.
I know, but I just don't like hearing John celebrate like this.
I love it.
I
hate seeing me happy.
No, I like seeing you happy. Just not when you
crazy.
Consistently predict your teams to only ever win, and
Listen,
nobody.
I was right.
You never pick anybody else, and that's why it kills me. It's you are so.
I can never lose. I'm undefeated. I can never lose.
That's not true. Your Hurricanes already lost. So
if I predict the Heat win and they win, I'm right. If I predict if they don't win, I'm like, well, I'm a fan. Like, what can I do? Like, it's a win-win. I can't lose.
You just proved you're not professional.
I'm undefeated.
You just lost your professional status.
LeVar Ball, you undefeated, never lost.
I can't lose. This is great. I found a loophole in fandom.
I don't think that's a loophole, John. I think it's just a really terrible logic.
What kind of tacos are you eating?
Yeah,
well, you know what? You guys took so long on this intro.
Stole it from
you. I had chicken tacos. Hey, you know what we should do?
Yes,
we should get Rob Dial to create a line each week on what tacos
I love that.
And
I think we should.
We'll throw in a quarter, and we'll see at the end of the month who's ahead. Hey,
who's the leader?
Wait, let's get back. Let's get back to how lucky John is. It reminds me. Remember that? Was it the Marlins or somebody that won a World Series and no one knew any player on the team?
Yeah.
In 97 or 03 when they won
the no-name payroll,
Yeah, they won the championship in 97 and 03, and the year after, the team was stripped down to nothing.
I was going to say, and then they blew it up all over again.
Yeah, they were champions. We don't want this team anymore.
But that was really amazing to watch in the Garden, Game 7, and they just took it. They just took it to them. They took it to them like they've done every team.
Who is Caleb Martin? I mean, really,
he's gonna get. I'm happy for him, but he's gonna get a bag, and it's not gonna be from us.
But how do you have undrafted?
And if it's a bag
players?
from you, John, you're in trouble.
No, we're not paying him. I can guarantee he's gonna want max money.
How the Celtics have destroyed themselves. You know when the Celtics lost undrafted players, averaged over 56 points per game in the series.
No,
you can't have that happen.
This series, at least in my personal opinion, is. I think really the reason the Heat won, it's not because of Jimmy. It's not because of their, undrafted
you can't hear Jimmy.
Role players. What?
You can't hear Jimmy.
No. It's none of that. To me, I think it just comes down to the coaching. I mean, and I know that's an oversimplification. I understand that. But the reason I say that is if you took out the coaches and you just gave me the players, I think the Heat would lose 9 out of 10 times. Why? Because they were not as talented. John, I think you are willing to admit that, right? That you're not as talented as the Boston Celtics on paper. Come on, seriously? You're going to tell me you're more talented than the Boston Celtics? All right. Okay, I'll turn to JV or Dave, and they'll probably agree with me on that. Because they'll be unbiased with me for
it was a complete mismatch as far as talent.
And they were completely overmatched.
Right. But that's not how the game's played, so it doesn't matter. And that's the reason I say it, because Spo is one of the best 2 coaches in the league, I think. Steve Kerr is the only other guy currently with a job. So I'm taking out guys like Budenholzer and Monty Williams, who are great coaches but just don't have a job at the moment. But current guys employed, they're 2 of the best coaches in the league. Period. End of story. So when you take Joe Mazzulla of the Celtics, who wasn't even the second or third choice to be the coach of the team. He just kind of got put in the role because of circumstance. Versus Spo, who's one of the best coaches. The rosters matter, yes. The way they played matters, yes. But the coaching is the reason the Heat won this. And
it gave the Heat at least one extra game.
Absolutely. And that's my point. That's the point I want to make. Yeah.
Well, it gave him game 7.
It comes down to that.
Because it gave him game 7 because after you're 0 for 11 from the 3-point line,
oh my God.
You have to have a backup plan. You can't just say, this is going to be our game. We're just going to shoot threes when we can't hit one.
We'll just chuck them up and hope eventually they fall. Yeah.
And then you got Marcus Smart, who finally was on Butler somewhere, I think, in the third quarter. He was shutting him down. Not that Butler did much in game 7.
He didn't have to.
He's such a good defender. When he was on Butler, he did nothing. Why would you play anybody else on Butler? I didn't understand that either.
No. Well, then you got one guy playing on 1 foot. I mean, yeah. For what, 27 or whatever. I mean, but you got to have somebody else out there that could play defense. He was hobbled, and they just ran around him.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, that comes down to the coaching, I believe.
Oh, hey, and somebody explain this to me. Coach. How come Blake is on the sideline? I haven't been following him. Is he just done?
He's been washed for so many years.
He just kind of exists.
It's probably been like 7 years since he's been like
really relevant.
Yeah.
He was such a freak athlete, so phenomenal to watch. I just,
he had so much talent.
That's kind of the way the
injuries just took everything away from him.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Rose is an easy example because my Knicks, right? He's not on the bench the whole time. It's the way the playoffs go. Like during the regular season, you might see a guy like Blake or Derrick Rose getting out there and getting some minutes because those games are, I don't want to say meaningless because they're not, but they're certainly not as impactful, especially just a random game on like a Wednesday or a Thursday, right? Give them some minutes. Who cares? In the playoffs, benches shrink to a few players. You're talking about you're rolling out 6-7 guys pretty much in a given game. So he kind of just unfortunate, but just kind of sits there, and it is sad because he really was. He was a
phenomenal talent. He was one of the best in the game for a few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
But watching that game 7, obviously I would say 3 out of the 4 of us thought it would be the other way, but a blowout in the opposite direction.
I didn't think a blowout, but I certainly didn't think the Heat were winning.
How many game 7s do you remember in this type of magnitude that are close games? They're usually blowouts.
Well,
but you wouldn't expect a team that was down 3-0 that won 3 in a row to get blown out on their home court.
I mean, if I remember correctly, the Cavs Warriors was a close.
That was 3-1.
But that's what he's saying of this magnitude where big series lead, game 7, right? That's I think what you were implying by this magnitude.
Usually though, when you get to these game 7s, everyone expects drama, and 9 times out of 10, you have a game like last night where it's a blowout. And I was looking forward to a really good game, and it was disappointing.
It was really good for me.
It was horrible.
And the Heat have never won a road game 7 in their franchise's history before last night. That was the first.
The Heat are officially better than Doc Rivers in game 7. Sorry, not sorry. I said what I said.
All right, so John, what's the final result
against the Nuggets?
Yeah, Heat. How many?
I think Heat in 6. Man, it gets back to Miami in game 6, and we close it out. We're really hard to beat on our home court. And just like we did against the Knicks and the Bucks and Boston, all we got to do is split the first 2. That's all we have to do and get it back to Miami.
You have yet to face a player like Nikola Jokic, and that's why
we faced Giannis.
He was hurt. What do you mean?
Yeah,
he came back and played.
He came back and played, but he wasn't the same player.
That's like playing, Jimmy at 50%. It wouldn't be the same. It's not it wouldn't be a fair comparison for anybody to say, we shut Jimmy down if he's 50%. It doesn't matter. He's not himself.
You can't compare.
Yeah.
Honestly, don't get me wrong. The Heat wouldn't be an 8 seed had they not had injuries throughout the year either.
They were a number 1 seed.
A true 8 seed.
Very recently. So it's not like they suck. It's not like it wasn't like they just squeaked in. It was like they normally are pretty good.
They did squeak in. They were a playing team.
They lost the first play-in game.
You're missing what I'm saying. No. What I'm saying is they didn't squeak in regard to the fact that they were just a bad team all year and they got lucky. It was a team that was hurt and should have been a lot better that got in and fought their way through.
I also think they just didn't care about the regular season. That's my opinion.
Season means nothing, but
I think that these teams, as long as they get in, I don't think, like the Lakers, I don't think they really cared about the regular season. I think they're just as long as we get in, it doesn't really matter. We know we have we have talent.
I think they do care. I think it's just that they don't care as much as they used to.
I think the unfortunate thing is this playoff shows that while the regular season has some meaning, the meaning is extremely diminished because now, yes, the Heat are an exception as being an 8 seed. They're not an average 8 seed, of course, like we said. But nonetheless, it still shows teams can just get hot in the playoffs if they're healthy. It doesn't really totally matter. So I don't think it totally diminishes it, but I think it gives validity to the argument that people make that the regular season just it could be shorter. It's not the most important thing. Load management's okay. All those arguments have been given validity because looking at the Heat, they were an 8 seed and they're in the finals and 4 games away from champion.
Think about the 2012 Ravens. Joe Flacco got hot and had one of the greatest playoff runs for a quarterback ever.
Look at the Giants in 07
twice.
And 11. Yeah.
Got hot. Yeah. Eli Manning got hot in the playoffs. Defense got hot, and they rode it to 2 championships.
Yeah.
They made key plays. They made a lot of pressures that they weren't making in the regular season. But it happens in any sport. If you just get hot, like you say, Jake, at the right time, doesn't matter who you're facing. If you're hot enough at the right time, you could beat anybody in any sport.
These are all pro athletes. That's why, when people are saying the Celtics have done 3-0, no, they have enough talent to win 4 in a row. All these teams do. Will they do it? It's highly unlikely, but they're talented enough too. But I think the best stat of last night was Boston is the first city to lose 2 Game 7s at home to a number 8 seed.
And both to Florida.
Year. It was in the same season.
Yeah,
exactly. The same year. I think
not only the same year, in the same building.
Yeah.
That sucks. Boston fans are having a rough time. They've had 2 Game 7s as the 1 and the 2
seed. Yeah.
2 seed, right? I think the 1 and the 2 seed respectively. And they lost both times to a team that was the bottom of the barrel in terms of playoff seeding.
To be fair, this is the universe's way of, since they had that 3-0 comeback against you guys, only time in baseball history, this is the universe's way of making them pay for that happening. You eventually get to pay for it at somewhere down the road. And the heartbreak of what happened with both teams, the Celtics and the Bruins. Bruins' greatest team in regular season history. Boom, you're out in Game 7, your own building against a team that has no business being there. Yeah. And you were up 3-1. So universe paid them back. I love it.
No, I do agree. So I just wanted to make 2 quick points because Dave also asked about the series that is coming up, Nuggets versus Heat, and I'll touch on that in a minute. But the other reason I think the Heat were able to win this game, nobody's touched on it somehow. The Celtics had one of the greatest wins ever in terms of last-second shot, totally wild, just absolutely nuts. But the problem with all that is there's such a big high, but the next game is super low in comparison. You can't recapture that moment.
Oh, I disagree with that.
You can't match that intensity. There's no way.
I think it's harder for the Heat after losing a game they should have won.
No.
Yeah, without a doubt. You're home.
Because that fuels them to want to play better the next game.
So, JB, again, I told you guys last night in the text chat.
I want to hear what Dave had to say.
I would say this. I would say that is more appropriate, say, at a high school or a collegiate level, where kids haven't experienced that. But when you've been in the NBA, you've won some games, along the way in that fashion. I get your point. There is an emotional high. But, you watch those guys go off the court. They congratulate each other, and then they're okay next. And I would say it's a little bit more so because I think younger athletes don't know how to say, okay, hey man, that was great, but we got
business to get.
Yeah. And the pros, it's a much more professional approach, and especially not to get trounced by 20. There's I get your point, but I think, like I said, it's more appropriate for the younger.
So how did you erase like a big loss in the NFL? If that happened to you guys, Dave, how'd you erase a big loss? Was it just next day? It wasn't even in your mind anymore? Or I guess, I mean, you had to watch the film, but you know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of like... It was just kind of like it was like when a quarterback throws a pick. It's like, oh well, that's in the back of my mind.
You got to move on.
Yeah, it all depends on how bad it was and how bad you were.
Okay,
film day.
That's fair.
And, here's the thing about film day. It literally amazed me. Was that those games which I thought, man, I'm not looking forward to Monday morning. It's just game wasn't that bad on film. It was like, okay, I made a couple of errors, and then the games where I thought I really killed it, like the pancake some cats, and made some big, plays and really was doing my thing. It was like I got called out on like half a dozen deals. It's never as bad as you think it's going to be, nor is it as good as you think it's going to be. And I think it's even maybe like these podcasts. I know when I do public speaking, those times when I go up there in front of the crowd and I think I've just nailed it, typically are my least responses, and the ones I really struggle through and feel like, oh man, shit, that was horrible. The times when people come, oh my gosh, dude, that was great, thank you so much. It's a weird dynamic. I don't know if you've ever experienced
Dave,
that, but
I'm so critical of myself. I don't go back and watch because if I do, I'm so critical. Like, not to interrupt you, Jake, but that's how I am. I'm just overly critical of myself, so it's hard for me to go back and watch.
No, but Dave, it's funny you say that because I used to be the same way in school. I'd come out of a test and I go, I absolutely killed it, got it back, and I got like a C or a C plus, and I was like, oh, that sucked. Then there's tests I walked out and I go, I definitely failed that. Thinking I got like maybe a D plus if I'm lucky. Walks out, gets the test back like a week later. I'm talking like an A minus. I'm like, I knew nothing on that test. I had no idea what happened. Yeah, I did amazing. And it's just,
what's an A minus?
It's the thing above a B plus and below.
Never experienced that in high school.
So I'll tell you. So when I was playing basketball at San Diego State, we're in Vegas, and for the Vegas tournament, and we go up against UNLV, and have 4 points, 4 fouls in 4 minutes, and and I'm out, and but I caught a bunch of dunks. They're really good, and we're 0-8.
Okay.
And so the next night we played Florida State, and we beat them for our first win. And so that was a big win for us, right?
Yeah.
Smokey Gaines, our head coach, made the mistake of saying, okay, guys, no curfew.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you how that ended.
Just answer me this. What time did you sleep that night, if at all?
Do you remember anything?
Well,
that's another question.
Wait. You should ask me what day I made it back to San Diego.
That answers my question.
That's the story ends there.
He's the original LT.
What happened in Vegas? Dave stayed in Vegas.
He was LT before LT.
We got some good stories off the air coming up.
Oh boy, yeah. So
can't wait to hear about that later.
The good ones.
All right, we're gonna wrap up now.
The younger guys don't know how to celebrate. Well, we
all
do.
Right. Let me wrap it up with this, JB, because I want to make some predictions for the finals. So if you're cool with that, that's where we'll go with this.
Yeah, because we'll have Raphael in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I want to make the predictions real quick. So John, we already heard from you. I'll take the reins and then I'll throw it over to Dave and then JB. I think the big thing that you have to keep in mind when making this prediction is the Heat just came off on a really big, long series, like emotional highs, very taxing mentally, physically. 7 games, should have been probably 5 at most. And the Nuggets have been sitting at home for, by the time the finals roll around, over a week. I think they're going to be
a long time, Jake.
It's a long time, but at this stage of the game, that is fantastic if you are the Nuggets. Because for me, that screams we get time to rest. We get our bodies to recuperate. We can condition the way we need to be ready and healthy and prepared for this game 1. I think the Nuggets come out firing. I think the Nuggets is 6 because I give the Heat plenty of credit because I told you, a great coach. I cannot deny that. But I think you are missing the fact that they are going to be tired and it's going to catch up with them in that high altitude. The Lakers had the same issue. They struggled in Denver. It's not easy. Dave's talked about it. I've talked about it with you guys. I am telling you, the Heat are great. I think they will win 2 games, but I take the Nuggets in 6. And Dave,
horrible
I throw it to you. No. You don't go. I said Dave goes next.
Horrible.
Let the man speak. Let the man speak.
Go ahead, Dave.
So, watching Miami play defense against that Celtics team and these other teams, they're like ants, and they're just everywhere. And the Joker's as big to do. I think the answer is going to pick them apart, and they're going to let him score his 32, but they're going to be all over him. This used to drive me nuts. Chris Collinsworth says, "I hate the word momentum in sports. There's no such thing as momentum." Well, you know, you're an idiot because
that's just not true.
He plays football. How does he not know momentum's real?
Well, you know what? You know what he's doing funnier, John? He starts talking about momentum now. If you hear him go, "Oh my gosh, they have no momentum," I go, "You know what, bro? A couple of years ago, you said you didn't believe it." Anyway,
yeah, which one is it?
Miami is gonna prevail in 6.
That's a good point.
Okay.
JB?
Now you can complain about my take.
You can stop betting and jump back on the show.
So the first thing is rest. You can't simulate game environment. Mm-hmm. And having a week off does nothing good for the Nuggets at this time of year. You want to be in your best game shape. Rest. You can rest after the season's over. This is the worst thing that could have happened to them.
All right.
The Heat defense is
it's like resting during Super Bowl week.
Exactly. You have the Heat defense, which is swarming. You know, they cover everybody. There's nothing easy. Jokic will be Jokic. They're not going to stop him. But the rest of the team's going to have trouble. Then, you know, how many guys on Miami can shoot the 3? You know, that's a big thing. If one guy's not hot, there's somebody else.
You do know they're the worst shooting team in the regular season. I mean, not in the playoffs, but just statistically speaking, they were terrible.
They don't be terrible.
Yeah, they were also lowest scoring team in the regular season, but
they're still not
look
scoring
how
a
that's
lot.
turned out.
You're scoring like average. You're not like blowing teams.
They don't need to score that much because of their defense being swarming.
Yep.
And again, you know, as far as the shooting, Jake, you may have a low percentage, but when you have more than one person that can shoot,
so do the Nuggets.
Spread it around.
Have you been watching them?
And they get Tyler Herro back.
We'll see. We'll see when he comes back. Like, I mean, he will eventually be back, but there's questions about that in my mind as well. You know, does him coming back throw things off? Because yes, he's a great player, but you guys have been playing your best basketball without him.
And then the last fact, of course, first time to the NBA Finals for the Nuggets. You know, you're there, you're overwhelmed. It's not going to work.
That is such
you can't just come to the show.
Silly.
You got to perform at the show. Sometimes when you get there and you've never been there before, it's
silly arguments. I hear.
I'm here, and you know what? Being there is just not good enough. Winning it's what we're talking about.
When the Nuggets whoop the Heat, we'll talk about it because you have all neglected the fact that they are playing in Denver, and I am telling you. The Nuggets are conditioned for that. The Heat are not. It has been taxing on every team that has had to go play in Denver.
Better head coach.
So that's why I gave them 2 games.
Defense.
How about we ask Dave? If you're so I would say the equivalent of the Nuggets being off a week in football would be 2 weeks. You know, that's a very long time. Because NBA they play every night. So they play every night or every other night. So taking a whole week off is like eternity. In football, taking 2 weeks off, like I said, between week 18 and to the divisional round. Dave, like, what does that do as an athlete, taking all that time off and then having to flip the switch?
Yeah, you know what? They've been home for 7 days eating mama's mac and cheese and getting sloppy, sitting around, you know, playing video games and eating wings. And I'm telling you, they're gonna be sluggish. I think Miami comes.
Can't simulate games.
Nobody's claiming you can simulate games, but you know you also can't simulate that high altitude.
Though. Yeah, no altitude. You can't argue that point.
Yeah.
Like I told you, man. I was there, and after the third layup, I was like swallowing my tongue.
And I know they're better conditioned, but still.
And I was in pretty good shape, you know, man. It's brutal, but you know, I still think I think they're gonna be all right.
Well, all right. Well, time will tell, but
they will tell.
Time will, yes. So, all right, JB, would you like to introduce our lovely friend?
Is he here?
Yeah, we got Raphael That's
having a hard time logging in.
He's
that NFL alumni. That's
where'd he go?
A little more difficult.
He said we got 5 on here.
No, he just left us.
He left us.
Yeah, he left.
All right.
He's not here anymore.
I'll be back.
He just disappeared.
You heard Jake's pick and said, "Oh man, these guys are dumb."
No, how dare he? Oh,
here we go. I heard a Jake.
I we had a guest. Didn't we have like a baseball player coming on?
We did. He never messaged me, so nothing tonight.
Hey, Raphael, how you doing?
What's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We hear you.
I would just, Raphael, just do one thing, and then we'll be good. Just take your camera on the NFL alumni site, turn it off, and you'll be good. Because now we're seeing you twice, and that's as much as I love seeing your face, my man. It's a little bit much.
You're
there you go. And now look at you. Now you did it. Yeah.
Best handicapper in all the world.
Yes. And Raphael, we need to go straight into basketball because I need you to sell the score with me because I'm the only one that's picking this team. I want your predictions.
You're picking the Nuggets?
I'm the only one picking the Nuggets, and I'm like disgusted by that.
This is easy money if you pick the Heat.
Listen,
easy
my
money.
stomach is sick having to agree with Jon. Just understand that.
So, Raphael, give us the odds on that if you can. And if you can give us your thoughts, I'd love to know it. Because I think I have someone that'll side with me, and it'll be nice.
I think whoever wins game 1, I think is probably going to win the series. If Miami can steal it, which, let's face it, 9 days off in NBA is almost like a month. I mean, I don't care how many times you practice, bringing another team or whatever, it's still a long layoff.
I don't disagree with that ever.
Steal game 1, then this one goes 6-7. If Denver flexes their muscles like they did against the Lakers in game 1 and win by double digits and had no answer for Joker and the rest of the crew, then I think this might get ugly quickly, and I think Miami only takes one game. Game 1 is going to be probably the biggest. I think how this series is going to dictate. I think if you're the Nuggets, you don't want game 6 or 7 because you don't want to play Miami Heat with the best coach in the NBA. You don't want to go 6 or 7.
Aren't these the things I said? Is this not exactly what I said to you guys?
You didn't say that they had off 9 days. You didn't say that.
I said over
you
a
didn't
week.
say that if whoever wins the game was going to win this.
I absolutely said they had over a week.
You said rest was good.
Yeah, but I said that you guys have a great coach. That's why I believe you guys will win some games. I said that I believe
backpedal like a cornerback.
No,
let's face it. Denver has the best 1-2 punch. The Joker and Murray, the way Murray just blew up the Lakers defense.
And don't forget, Michael Porter Jr. has been playing very well as well.
And Aaron Gordon played really well.
It's been a team effort.
If Joker and Murray go off, then I don't care what Miami Heat can do to that. Miami, if you're Denver, you probably didn't want Miami. If you're Denver, you probably wanted Boston.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're the Denver Nuggets, you want nothing to do with a team that's rolling on free money. You want nothing to do with this team that has nothing to lose. If they lose in 5, 6, or 7, you walk Miami.
You know what?
Walk still.
But that's what makes this a great series because they're both rolling on house money.
No, but he's talking about the Nuggets specifically.
I know. Well, if you let me make my point, you'll understand. Because the whole thing the Nuggets have been rolling on is everybody's doubting us, right? So their big thing is okay, let's prove the doubters wrong. That's good for them. That's fueling them. And you're facing a team that's doing the same thing. That's why for the NBA, I think this is the best matchup, period. I'm not talking about for each individual team. I'm talking about for us as the fans, people that are going to watch the game. This is the best series possible. So I don't care what the Nuggets wanted. This is great. You got
There's
the Heat.
no way the Nuggets can sell themselves in their heads as underdogs. As people are doubting. They're the 1 seed. They have a 2-time MVP. Stop.
They were underdogs coming into this playoffs because everyone with Embiid winning the MVP. Everyone's saying Joker's white. He shouldn't have been MVP.
I will explain the logic they've been using.
In basketball, they were underdogs against the Lakers. No one was talking about the Nuggets. They kept talking about,
that's it right there. That
piece right there. AD. They weren't talking about the numbers.
Raphael said it. Nobody was talking about the Nuggets. That's what I'm saying. That's what they've been using to fuel themselves is nobody talks about us. Nobody thinks about us. Nobody
can't use it now, though.
They absolutely can, and they are.
What adversity have the Nuggets faced?
They're playing an 8
seed. They're not talking about Denver. They're only thinking about talking about Denver's 9 days rest. Everyone
exactly. That's what they're using. Nobody's still talking about them.
If that's what they're using, they're even weaker than I thought.
Why would you
because
think
that is the worst as a 1 seed? If that's your argument, that
why is that bad? Why is that bad? Because everybody doubts them and questions them. So why wouldn't that be good fuel?
They're playing first of all the Eastern Conference, and right now everyone thinks the Western Conference is better than the Eastern Conference. First of all, they're the 1 seed in the West who went through the Lakers, right? And they're playing the 8th seed in the East, who's Miami. So if you're still in your head thinking that, people doubt us, you're a lot weaker.
That's not what they're saying. No. They're not saying that. Ball. You're missing what they're saying. No. Listen,
guys, they're going to lose because they're weak.
Listen. Weak. No, what they're saying is nobody is talking about us, meaning that they are not in the news. People are saying, let's talk about LeBron and his retirement. Let's talk about Jimmy Butler. Let's talk about the Nuggets. Never. Let's talk about everybody else. Always.
Well, of course, we're not talking about the Nuggets. They swept the Lakers.
That's the news cycle. No, that's not it. When they swept the Lakers, and Raphael, back me up on this, please, because I know you understand what I'm saying here. How much did they talk about the Nuggets being swept, or should we sweeping the Lakers versus LeBron potentially retiring? What was the big story there? That's
retiring.
Thank you. Nobody wanted to talk about the Nuggets. Not even
guys. Jake is right.
Thank you. Oh, thanks.
I'm saying this is weak.
Wait, that is a bulletin board deal. That is a coaching deal. That is something that is being mentioned in the locker room. I can tell you that hey, we're being dismissed, and let's go out and show them who we are. I've heard that so many times in so many instances when we were the dogs and shouldn't have been, where we weren't the ones that were supposed to do anything. And we showed up and we proved a point. So I see Jake's point is valid. Is that actually going on? I don't know. Is it Is it
well, it is. Their coaches come out and said that.
It is assuredly something that's being talked about in that locker room.
The Nuggets have straight up said that's what's happening. Like the coaches come out and flat out said they're not talking about us, and that's what we're using to fuel us right now. Is
the Nuggets
make them talk about us. If they don't want to talk about us, we'll force them.
Eric Spoelstra should be upset because no one's talking about him. They're talking about Pat Riley being in the NBA.
You're right, absolutely.
I'll give you and JB. I'll give you the difference in the Nuggets and the Heat. The Nuggets celebrated their like they won the championship when they won the West. When the Heat won the East, the Heat were like, job's not done. Like,
because you guys
we got some trophies.
7 games when you should have won.
This isn't good enough. This isn't what we want. Job's not done. Why. Look at the difference in the celebrations. The Heat had stone cold face, and the Nuggets were like, "Wow, yippee, we're finally in the finals!" That's a big difference.
Like I said before, they're just happy to be there. They're the number 1 seed. They shouldn't have to worry about people talking about them. Just play ball. You're already good enough.
Oh, boy,
who cares if people talk about you? Wait,
you have sorely missed the point, and it's wild.
All right, we beat the dead duck. Hey, Raphael, what's the over/under on the viewership of this?
Ooh, I've been trying to find. I'm gonna put something out tomorrow. I put out a whole bunch of prop bets for the. I'll email it to you guys tonight or first thing tomorrow. I just finished like 5 minutes ago with all the NBA prop bets.
I think that's a great line. Are people gonna watch this series? No. What's the over?
They should.
Not at all. Not at all.
This one will be probably the top 3 lowest NBA Finals.
Which is a shame because it's going to be really good basketball.
No one denies that.
Really good, but I'm sorry.
Nobody cares.
Not a name brand. Jimmy Butler's not a name brand. Pat Riley's not on the bench. There's no name guy. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I feel bad to say that.
If you put the Lakers in there versus the Heat, it doesn't matter that the Heat are there.
It's LeBron.
No, right. He makes a story. You put the Grizzlies on there. John Morant is a story all of a sudden. He will attract people. But for whatever reason, Nikola Jokic is just not going to draw people in. And my guess is because he's quiet, he's reserved. He doesn't talk and do anything on social media. He's like one of the quietest stars you'll ever see. He's
boring to watch. He's boring to watch.
He's Tim Duncan.
He is fun to watch.
Oh, he's boring.
I love watching him.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's Tim Duncan.
Yeah, he's so effortless. He's so effortless. He's so unaffected by anything. He just scores at will. He does. I mean, he's a walking triple-double. but he does it with zero flair. And frankly, people want basketball to watch cats fly through the air.
I think a better way to put it is, for casual fans, he's boring to watch. For people that truly enjoy basketball, it's fantastic to watch.
But it's the casual fans that you have to get to watch. No, I agree. Because the hardcore fans are going to watch.
Yeah, no, I know. But I just wanted to clarify because I think that's what Dave was getting at. Yeah. I agree with what that is being. If that's
what they need to start.
Keep an eye out for game one on physicality. Because let's face it, A, these two teams still have bad blood, and B, what's going to bring in viewership?
That's what they need. That's what they need to.
They need to sell that.
In the finals,
they need
under 3.5. How many people will be ejected in the NBA Finals? Over under 2.5. I put a whole bunch of technical calls because I think that's the only way. I hate to say it, this one might bring viewership if there's bad blood.
It's unfortunate, but true.
Because they got into that fight last year in Miami. Jokic and the Heat got into a fight last year on the court. So I mean,
and let's face it, it was Morris's fault.
But either way, you could sell that if you're the NBA, that, the bad blood, like you guys said.
But Morris ain't there, so I mean, you can't really sell something.
But you saw the Heat. Don't forget the Heat. Don't forget any of that stuff.
I'm just saying, if there was two guys were still there.
Yeah.
Well, look, they'll manufacture.
I think if you liked Miami Heat to win this series, you bet it now. If you like the Denver Nuggets, hope and pray that Miami wins game one, because then you get a better price for series price if they go down 0-1,
right?
And you can put Denver. But if you're not going to get a higher number on Miami right now, unless for some odd reason Denver blows them out by double digits in game one, and then game Friday, which I can't believe game one is Thursday and game two is Sunday. But
it's 3 days between each game, or every 3 days.
But if it's a blowout on Thursday, then everything on Friday and Saturday is just going to be a sweep? Is this? We're not going to hear any sweep if Miami wins. But if Denver pulls double digits,
it might be the only way Denver gets to get talked about. That's their only chance. They have to come out and just show them who's boss, because otherwise, they could win by 5 points. If they win by 5, I guarantee you, the majority of the media will be, the Nuggets came out and played okay, but the Heat stuck in there. They played pretty well, all things considered, and that will be the narrative. And
I think that's why I'm kind of rooting for Miami, though, because I think if Miami wins this one, I think Spo gets raked. He blows out everyone. First of all, I think he's a better head coach than Steve Kerr right now.
Thank you.
But his championships right now are with LeBron, D-Wade.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have no disrespect to Jimmy Butler, but he's not
an all-time great.
He's not an A-star like LeBron was and
No.
D-Wade was.
No.
If Spo
not even
gets
close.
a championship right now with Butler and the team he has right now, he's skyrocketed.
It's kind of like Kobe got a championship without Shaq, and that really helped his legacy. Because it's like, hey. You could no longer say it was, Shaq and Phil Jackson. Like, I went and got one without those guys.
That's why I'm
Tom
rooting
Brady
for Spo.
without
I'm a big
Bill
fan
Belichick.
of Spo. I think he's a underrated head coach that no one talks about.
He is a coach
for him.
He's a coach in a series that'll win you at least a game, just on coaching alone. Like, forget the talent; he will win you a game because his coaching is that good.
And I feel bad that people mention Pat Riley first, then Spo second.
Of course.
I think that's totally wrong.
Well, that's why we do this stuff, because we want to highlight the correct stuff. Got to highlight the right guys.
Without Pat Riley, there is no Spo.
What other
well, you're right. I'm gonna give you before I head. I'm gonna give you some good NBA Finals MVP. Good odds. Everyone's Joker's -$4. There's no value.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even take Jimmy. I wouldn't even take Jimmy Butler at 340.
No, I think I do.
I would take Caleb Martin at 30-1.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you take him? He should have won MVP last.
Yes.
Jimmy Butler shouldn't have won that one. It should have been Caleb Martin. I think if you're looking for the MVP fight, if you're looking for someone besides Denver, if they win it all, maybe not the Joker, but I would say Aaron Gordon, who had a great 3 games, averaging double digits in points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. You can get him at 60-1. So
what
about Murray?
At? Yeah, what's he at? He's probably up there.
Like 10-1.
All right, so if you want a safer bet,
that's decent
Jamal Murray's
value.
A good one.
Yeah, that's good value. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Normally, the NBA Finals, if you're star player doesn't dominate, they usually don't give it to
the number 2.
For some odd reason, they just dominate. Like if the Joker averages triple-double and on all 4 wins that they got, or Butler averages 26, 9, 4.
Right.
But I don't see one of those 2 guys winning the MVP.
No, the only weird one I can think of, to your point, was when Iguodala got the MVP over Curry, which was the weirdest.
Yes.
But weirdest thing. Remember, during that NBA Finals, those last 2 games when they won it, it was all about his defense on LeBron.
It
was leading up to how Iggy was playing defense on LeBron.
It's just weird.
It's just weird.
It's weird to look back at.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So, Raphael, I need you to do a prop on the undrafted Heat players, what they could average per game. I think that was fascinating.
Do you think he has time for all that?
He's the best in the world. Of course he has time for that.
But to take
I can do it tomorrow when I'm watching the Spelly Bee.
There you go. Because after hearing they averaged 56 points a game before last night in that Celtics series, that's amazing. Yeah. You know, what they did.
Again,
I'm kind of mad that Tyler Hero could come back. I think that could mess up their rotation.
That's what I said.
Because I think that's going to eliminate some of those guys.
It takes away shots,
Yeah. Unless for some odd reason he's killing it in practice that we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But I would bring him back very, very, very slowly.
It's not even just that. They're playing their best basketball without him. It almost screams.
I think he's going to take away Strasser's.
I hate to say it, but it's like you almost don't need him. You don't need him right now.
One of the main reasons why they're here.
Yeah, I mean, unless they go down like 0-2 in the series and it's like, okay, we need a spark. I understand that, but otherwise, the Heat.
He's no Kyle Schwarber when the Cubs needed an extra bat.
You're right.
Well, let's see what the best coach in the league does.
We'll see.
We'll
see what the best coach in the league does versus the best player in the playoffs. You know, we'll see. And John, I swear, if you try and say Jimmy is better in the playoffs, I will come to this.
Yeah, I think you're crazy.
Well,
John, you cannot possibly argue that.
Yeah, I would definitely say Jimmy's been better. And Caleb Martin has just been fantastic, man. I don't know what you're talking about, Jake.
John, did you watch the game last night, John?
Yeah.
At Game 6?
Yeah.
Has Jimmy Butler been found?
Yeah, of course he has. He's made big shot after big shot. I mean, I don't even know what you're talking about with the Joker.
Last 2 games?
Remember, Batman always beats Joker.
So, I mean, he blew up his 3-ball.
Jimmy Butler is not Batman. If anything, he's Alfred.
Wow.
He's the butler.
Hey, he is a butler after all.
I mean, that's a good point.
That was just meant to be a clever joke, not a
golf
diss.
clap. I mean, you deserve it.
John understood the joke.
Jimmy doesn't have a Batman. I'm sorry.
No, they don't. And you know what? But that's what makes them good. That's honestly what I think makes them great. Is there is no superstar that has to take over every game. Jimmy is the star on the team, but he's willing to defer to his guys.
I have tickets for both Stanley Cup and NBA Finals. Now we're attending 0 games.
I'm sorry.
I have a wedding that I have to go to.
So what? Yeah, what are the odds on the Stanley Cup? We haven't even asked you that.
I know.
Golden Knights right now, I think they're minus 145, minus 150, depending on where you go. Now, here's the one thing: if you're betting the Vegas Golden Knights, you want to bet it anywhere out of the West Coast. Like if you live in the East Coast, you're going to get probably 25-cent better number than if you live in California or Vegas, because everyone in the West Coast is betting Vegas. Everyone out of the West Coast is betting either Florida.
Everybody at home, listen to me. Okay, I'm putting the mic to my mouth. Listen very closely. I don't know where you live, and I don't really care. Take Florida now.
Why don't you just talk into the mic like that the whole time? You sound so much better.
Oh, does it?
What are you doing?
I'll do this.
Well, he's slowing down.
Giants fans, man.
His dad voice. He's using his dad voice.
Golly.
So a team in South Beach wins a trophy. That's all I'm going to say. 1 trophy, not 2 trophies.
I can live with that. Heat win, Florida lose. It's a double win for me.
I think they would have both. Florida is going to be the place to be.
So what are the odds? Like, what do you have odds-wise for how far that series goes?
Everyone's been 6 and 7, of course, because I can't attend 6 or 7 games, 6 or 7. So I can guarantee it's going to be 7 games, and it's going to be in quadruple overtime, and someone's going to get run over with a skate, bleed all over the ice.
John, is this better? Is this better?
I love it. I love
like
it,
this
Jake.
better,
I think you sound so much better.
Yeah.
Does everybody agree with that?
You sound like a professional.
Yes.
I'm holding the mic now. I don't know if you guys can see this.
You don't sound like you're from New Jersey anymore.
Hey, I resent the fact that you'd say that. I resent that.
Don't say bad things about New Jersey.
What did New Jersey ever do to you?
The armpit of America.
John.
Wow.
You're pushing your luck. You're pushing your luck today.
I would think that's more Pittsburgh, Philadelphia.
They do have the name Pitt in their name, but he doesn't.
Yeah, just the whole state of Pennsylvania. Yeah,
get out of here.
I can live with that. So hold on, really quickly. I have to ask: do we all agree this really is better like this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Wow. Okay, so I'll hold the mic from now on. Now you get to watch a mic in my face.
All right. What else? Rafi? What else? How can we make some money? We got bills to pay. Rent's coming.
Gabe wants money.
Because of the mess that the Raiders have, because of Jimmy G's contract, they can void it.
Oh, are we taking bets on how long it is till he leaves?
What I am hearing, they're really thinking about voiding it.
Yeah,
really?
They put it in the contract on purpose. I know they put a clause in there that said if you fail the second physical, we don't have to pay you squat. We can get rid of you for no problem.
So, are there any odds on who they would replace him with?
Tom Brady.
One of the partial owners, maybe.
Well, Tom can't own the team if he does this. If he wants to play,
he? It's his team.
No,
why can't he own the team? It's his team.
You can't. You physically are not allowed to.
You own the team. You can do whatever you want.
No, you can't. Not really.
No, you can't.
Get the bowl cut. Get everything.
Let me ask you this though. Speaking of where guys are going and things like that, nobody's talked about it yet. Which we talk about NBA today, so I understand that. What are the odds for DeAndre Hopkins' next team? What do you got? Because I feel like I know the top two teams, but I'm just curious.
It changes almost every 24 hours. It seems like.
Yeah, I figured.
I don't. Everyone's saying Buffalo and Kansas City. They don't have the cap space, and I don't think there's no way he's going to take the big pay cut. And that's.
You don't think he'd take a pay cut to win a championship? I think he would. I think he wants to win.
Who?
I could see
DeAndre Hopkins.
I could see that. I think a lot of people are saying like New England, Dallas, and stuff like that. But I don't know where he's going to end up going. That's like I said, every day I'll refresh it, and some different money comes in that's kind of totally blows me away. That I'm shocked that money continues to come in on Hopkins. So it's going to be very interesting to see where he ends up going.
All right. Well, hey.
What about Detroit?
Ew.
I mean, that would be.
It doesn't make sense there.
Where we can catch some passes.
Detroit was top 5 offense, weren't they last year?
But
at one point, they were the number 1 offense in football last year.
Yeah,
through like 6 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, Goff is going to flop this year.
I think he wants to go somewhere where he's going to be a number 1. And granted, Buffalo is not, but Buffalo has championship aspirations. But I think Kansas City makes a lot of sense.
He's not going to be number 1 there. That's Travis Kelce.
No, the number 1 receiver, John.
But the number 1 target's going to be Kelce.
John, I agree.
I don't disagree with that.
Kansas City is
but I think he'd be okay being the number 1 receiver on the team other than Travis Kelce, and I think he'd be willing to understand that. Especially if he got the chance to play with Patrick Mahomes, I think they'd have some fun together. I think he'd really love, Mahomes will give him some deep looks. I think he'd be happy with that.
I think he'd be great in Miami.
I think if you're a receiver and you want to
win, it's always your team. Hold on. Why is it always your team, John? Your team makes no sense.
Why do you think I just didn't even respond? Like if you're a receiver, you want to win and have fun, you would play with Mahomes in a second.
What a stupid statement. I'm sorry, that was silly.
Thank you.
It's John. What do you expect?
He'd be like the 3rd receiver on that team. He'd probably sooner go to the Giants.
That would be a good fit.
Keep an eye out for Cleveland.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's an interesting choice.
Nice. Go to a place where the winds are like 50 miles an hour in December and you can only run the ball. You throw 3 passes a game. You're right off the lake.
They got the money to get him, so.
It's 4 degrees out. Like, good job, Hopkins. Go there.
Hey.
Yeah.
I think the Giants would be a good spot for him.
That's what I said. Hey, be a number 1 receiver.
But we don't make those types of moves.
Last time we did it was Kenny Galladay, and that didn't work out so well.
That was a different type of move with Galladay.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying.
Hopkins is like a name. We don't go after names.
And that was Gettleman's fault for being an idiot.
I know. Yeah. You don't need to remind me. I can't stand him.
Okay? That's why, there's no thought in my mind the Giants would sign him. So He doesn't exist.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right, Raphael. Well, we'll wrap up things here in a minute, but as always, thank you for coming on. Tell the people where they can find you, even though they should know by now.
Yeah, you can find me over on Twitter at VSI.sports, and you can betthat.com, new website. You can also find me on Instagram at Raphael Esparza. You can find me over at DocSports.com, MyBookie.ag, BetUS, a whole bunch of different spots everywhere. Like I said, you'll catch me watching Spelling Bee all day tomorrow as I'll be grading prop bets.
Nice.
Raphael, I am not jealous of you tomorrow.
Spelling Bee all day tomorrow. Well, at least MLS soccer's tomorrow, too. So
well, that's not so bad.
So.
Kind of like
Raphael, thank you as always.
Died on the Mayans. Nobody died. Nobody died on the Mayans. First two shows, man.
They sent me. I got I'm 4 episodes ahead, so. It's sad. I'll tell you that.
So between 3 and 6, huh?
I'm sad. I'll tell you that.
I'm playing golf. I'm playing golf with Emilio next Friday. So
tell Emilio I'm sad. I hate to be sad when I watch TV shows, and the last episode made me sad.
It makes
me almost
sad,
like watching Mrs. Basil. I was sad at that season finale, and now I'm sad at watching Lions.
So between episode 3 and 6, you've heard it here first.
Yeah. Very
between the lines.
Raphael, thank you again. Have a good one, man.
Thanks, Raphael. Have a good week.
All right. What do we got a couple minutes here. Is there anything we want to talk about real quick, before we wrap up? Just, we can talk more about, Hopkins if we want to talk about that real quick, but, we got like 3 minutes of conversation here, guys. You know how this goes. Or we could just talk about how our Memorial Day weekends went. We could do that. Whatever.
I ate your prototypical food, hot dogs and, burgers and chips and, bacon.
I'm sorry for everybody at home. That was probably really loud. I know it was. But the reason I did that is because I know what John had, and it makes me want to, throw up right now.
And prototypical food
for
John, Memorial
you didn't
Day.
have prototypical food. You had a disgusting hockey puck that you call a hamburger, and I know it. Am I wrong?
2.
Oh, God.
1 wasn't enough.
Gotta get double dose.
It's not bad enough that you kill the poor cows, which, whatever. I mean, I eat hamburgers. too,
I don't do it. I just enjoy the...
But, John, if you're going to, eat these animals, at least eat it correctly.
They gave their lives so I can eat them.
Well done is quite possibly the most disgusting way to eat food. Just at that point, my man, go to your car, cut off a piece of your tire, and start eating it because
I appreciate the cow's service to my stomach. I really appreciate it.
How you go?
What do you do, Dave?
I eat it cold.
That
makes
how?
Put it in the freezer and then it cools.
Gross.
I'm okay with that.
He's worse than I am.
No, he's not.
Everything is better. I really,
Dave, I can't argue with you.
I make it. I eat it the next day out of the fridge.
Dave, you ever take like a nice rack of ribs the next day out of the fridge?
See, I don't like that stuff.
Come on. Is that not just like the best?
So
no,
I had this one thought. I was going to a restaurant and serve leftover omelets. My favorite thing to do is to take whether it be an enchilada or a chili verde or pizza topping or meatballs the next day and make an omelet and throw it in there.
Oh, that sounds good.
And just make leftover omelets. I was going to call it eggs, etc.
I like it.
That's
coming Dave, next week.
That's clever.
And I was going to do the baker's dozen omelet. There's 13 eggs.
Oh my God!
On a plate, and the omelet covers hash browns. You eat the whole thing; it's free.
Oh,
Dave,
I'm with you.
It sounds like a franchise.
I bought one of those and ate it, and so I didn't have to pay $26 or whatever it was for that omelet.
These other two will never understand it, but I am totally with you. Give me cold food.
I
don't want all my food cold all the time, but there are plenty of things that I like cold.
Chinese.
Chinese is good.
Pizza
I'll give you that one.
Oh,
pizza cold. What?
Yes, leftover
cold.
pizza.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Burrito cold.
Oh yeah. Give me it all, Dave. I will eat almost anything. Sometimes I have leftover steak. Sometimes I just take it out of the fridge. Just go. I just go. I can't help it. It's so good.
As soon as we get off this, I already had my.
You're out of order.
I've got a cold steak because I barbecue steak. I'm a little.
You know what?
I don't eat burger.
But Dave,
I don't know steak. I don't like.
Let me ask you why you do it though. Do you do it the same reason I do? Like, why do you eat things cold like that? Just because you like the taste?
I think it tastes better.
Okay, the reason I do it, and I don't know if you ever thought about this, and then we got to wrap up. I do it because like steak is a specific example. If you put it back in the microwave, it overcooks.
Oh
it
yeah,
you can't reheat steak.
You can't microwave.
It's totally.
No.
Well, why didn't you just eat the steak in the first place?
Well, I did, but I make like 5 at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't make.
Yeah, because
you never have leftovers, John.
Because
you don't make too much steak meat. Make what you can eat.
I could say the same thing about a lot of other foods, but that's the point.
No,
it overcooks
steak. You know you can't redo, so you got to eat it right then and there.
No, so you just eat it cold.
Those things.
Ribs are the same way.
There's a Mexican food place I used to go to like twice a week, and they would make my bean and cheese burrito with the sauce and everything on it, and then they'd stick it in their deep freezer for 20 minutes and then bring it out.
There you go. I love it.
Wow.
So, all right.
Interesting.
We got 20 seconds. So, everybody, very quickly, let's go around the horn. Dave, you're just Dave. Am I right?
Yeah. I'm still just, hey, but here's the thing. I'm going to change my thing to just Dave. I don't know how to change it yet.
I love it. I'll fix that for you.
I'll do that for you. Kid to help me with it. It's going to be just Dave Das at 67 and whatever, we'll figure it out.
JB
_ the program on Twitter. Confidential tomorrow at 10.
John.
Bluehawks 13 and Bluehawks 13 NFL on Instagram.
Love it. You guys can find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik, and then all the stuff across the bottom of your screen. And that's just Dave, because Dave, I got you. I fixed it for you. Everybody, have a good one, and we'll see you next week.